So over this past weekend, I was looking at the reviews for Assassin's Creed Origins and found something pretty interesting. For the most part, the game got really good reviews, which isn't really a surprise. I mean, Origins is a breath of fresh air for the series. Bayek is a really good character, Egypt is extremely beautiful and well created, and not to mention the gameplay itself is very fun and keeps players coming back to the game. But GameSpot, oddly enough, gave the game a 7 out of 10, which is fine. I mean, according to their scale, this means the game is good. And while I do disagree with their negatives, it's not my review, and they could have had a different experience when it came to technical issues. I personally didn't really have any, and the combat worked the majority of the time and wasn't really clumsy, at least for me. But anyways, the thing I found really interesting is that they gave Origins a 7 out of 10, and somehow Assassin's Creed Syndicate got a 9 out of 10. Now, I like both of these games, but Syndicate doesn't even come close to Origins in the slightest. But let's look at the positives and negatives GameSpot had for Syndicate. Starting off with the positives, Syndicate has an excellent world design which allows organic discovery of missions with open-ended solutions. Yeah, that's true, but I think Assassin's Creed Origins did that and did it better. But moving on, London looks gorgeous. That's true. I can't disagree. The rope launcher tool is a game changer for traversal and stealth gameplay. Okay, that's also true. Building up your gang is rewarding and satisfying. Yeah, no. This should actually be a negative, if anything. I could care less about the Rooks. I mean, as you progress through the story, you start realizing the Rooks had the same exact character models as the enemy gang. You'll kill this bald dude at least 100 different times, but he'll also be a part of the Rooks too. It just drives me insane that a AAA game has about 40 different character models in total. Continuing on with the positives though, the masterful soundtrack captures the hope and despair of the setting. Again, I totally agree, Syndicate's soundtrack is really good, but Origins also has an amazing soundtrack, but for some reason, that's not mentioned as a positive in the Origins review. And last but not least, a wonderful story led by two of the strongest protagonists in the series. I'm sorry, but Jacob and Evie are not some of the strongest protagonists in Assassin's Creed. I mean, there's Ezio, Edward, Arno, Altair, Desmond, and the list goes on. I know this is obviously subjective, but I wouldn't call Jacob and Evie some of the strongest characters. Sure, they're good, but definitely not near the top. As for the negatives, the final boss battle is frustrating and kills the drama. Honestly, I don't really remember being frustrated, but maybe the final boss battle was a bit disappointing. I don't remember. And last but not least, the controls can be imprecise sometimes. Again, this just comes down to the specific experience, although I do agree with this. Sometimes the controls just didn't respond correctly, at least for me. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video to point out that critic reviews just don't make sense sometimes. And that's because they have different people reviewing these games. That was the case for GameSpot. One person reviewed Syndicate while a different person reviewed Origins. Now, imagine if the same person who reviewed Syndicate, which had a 9 out of 10, reviewed Origins. That score most likely would have been the same, if not better. I mean, Syndicate doesn't deserve a 9 out of 10. They failed to mention the repetitive NPCs, the boring modern day, less customization than Unity, the combat animations were repetitive as well, and the list goes on. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that these major news outlets like IGN and GameSpot have different people reviewing their games, so the scores just won't make sense at times. And if you're one of those people who like to see reviews before buying a game, I definitely recommend just watching YouTubers like Angry Joe, Total Biscuit, or ACG. Also, you can look at user reviews to see if a majority of people like it or not. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please rate this video 7 out of 10 stars, and I'll see you all later.